Hey, what's up, my queen bees? It's your girl Amanda, the buzzed artist, back at you with another fun story time. So, I wanted to touch on several subjects that have held me back in the past with my art. And let's be real here, with my life as well. I will admit this, I struggled for several days on what I should talk about for this story time. And the reason being that I really wanted to talk about something completely unrelated to art, but I just felt like I was not really ready to completely share that with all of you. And so after several days of brainstorming, writing complete stories, and many failed recording attempts, I finally decided to open up a little bit about my past mental struggles as an artist, particularly dealing with the effects of imposter syndrome, anxiety, and feelings of self-worth. For those of you who are not familiar with what imposter syndrome is, it's basically a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud, no matter how much success they actually achieve. And imposter syndrome can really manifest itself in a variety of different ways. Feeling like you don't deserve to be where you are today, feeling like any success you actually have had in your past was just because of pure good luck and not based on you actually achieving what you achieved. And your girl has definitely been a victim of imposter syndrome, especially after I became a paint night artist with little to no skills of actually teaching people how to paint and having not touched a paintbrush in literally years. So yeah, I can definitely tell you that I have felt this very, very strongly at the very beginning of my career as an adult artist. So I wanted to do more reading on this subject, and I was very surprised to discover that imposterism is more likely to occur with people who have perfectionistic tendencies and who hold their work to a great expectation. They often find that no matter what they do, how well they paint, or are praised for their painting, they will always feel that their painting is complete garbage and that they are imposters pretending to play artist with a brush. Oh man. And you know, as I was reading all this stuff and I sat and stared at my computer, I found myself really nodding along to this. And I came to realize that I had a lot of unrealistic standards on what an artist is and feels like. Because to me, I mean, artists were confident, daring, bold, original, willing to color outside the lines kind of people. And these were the people that breathed creativity no matter what they did. They had supportive, healthy relationships with their significant others and family members who believed in them and always wanted them to be an artist. This is a very important point, and I'll dive into that for a second. I had this vision of what an artist supposedly feels like, and when I compare that to my own feelings, I really did not see a lot of parallels. So to me, I was thinking, so because I didn't see parallels, I thought to myself, I can't possibly be an artist because I don't have any of these qualities. Da Vinci, Monet, Picasso, Andy Warhol, Liechtenstein, they had this smooth confidence about them, and their art is just bold. And it's as if they just knew what they had to do from the very moment that they exited the womb. I mean, these were the type of people that I thought an artist exemplified. Sure, I mean, I love to paint, and yes, I have loved drawing even before I could talk. But I hadn't touched a paintbrush in such a long time. I had never shown anyone else how to draw, paint, sketch, compose a drawing, ever. Anytime anybody would just peer over my shoulder to see what it was that I was drawing, I would immediately close the book and just kind of retreat to a corner because I just did not want my art to be seen by anybody else. It felt almost like I was exposing something about myself that was very, very private. So for the longest time, my art was for my eyes only. Yet the itch to become an artist and to do what they do was just always very prevalent for me. But because I didn't see myself as what I thought an artist could be, I felt unworthy of the title. And what was absolutely so freaking crazy about this whole thing was that the greatest minds, talents, and artists of this world, like Albert Einstein, Maya Angelou, David Bowie, Serena Williams, just to name a few, have had their own bouts of imposterism, all of whom combated feelings of not being good enough, of being called a fraud, a nobody playing dress up. Wait a second, these people are amazing people. They're held in such high regard by everyone. They've shifted the hearts and minds of so many people, and yet they have at some point experience bouts of imposterism even when they hit all that success. Like, that blew my mind, you know? So in essence, does this mean that imposter syndrome is kind of normal? And from what I have read and experienced, the answer to this is yeah. Feeling like you don't belong when you are in a room of accomplished people, it does seem very daunting. But what we all tend to forget is that every one of those people are just people. They eat, they sleep, they laugh, they cry, they burp, they poop. I mean, they're human beings. And in this day and age where we focus on how good someone else's life is compared to our own dumpy ones, Instagram, what we tend to forget is that we see only a highlight of what that person chooses to share about their life. Little do we see the meltdowns, the sobbing uncontrollably into a corner, the feelings of inadequacy, the constant negativity received from relatives or friends. We don't see any of that. And because we don't see any of that, we cannot help but compare our lives, our thoughts, our mindset to these happy, picture-perfect ideals that are just simply unrealistic, one-sided, and can cause major anxiety and unwarranted negative feelings of self-worth. So that kind of leads me into my second topic, which is the feeling of self-worth. So let's dive into that for a little bit. This is a subject matter that I found myself struggling to really address the most for this video and really for the majority of my life. And that is because I've had a very shaky sense of self-worth ever since I was a kid. Growing up, I found it very hard to love myself and be proud of who I was, mainly due to the overwhelming imposed and self-imposed expectations placed upon me. I wasn't girly enough, I wasn't attractive enough, popular enough, fit enough, smart enough, obedient enough, selfless enough, hardworking enough, and so on and on and on and on. And whenever I felt short of what was expected of me, I often found myself breaking down, beating myself up, and telling myself every negative thing I could possibly think of. Because I felt like I deserved it. I deserved to get a B on my project. I deserved to be yelled at for not cleaning something as well as they would have liked it to be cleaned. I deserved to feel belittled because I don't know anything about anything and I have no concept of what it means to be an adult. And for the best part, I deserved to be called selfish after I had made a hard decision that is best for me. In all of these situations, I told myself I didn't deserve happiness. And it was in those situations that I held myself back over and over again. I chose to believe the words and thoughts of others about my life, and I also chose to believe the words and thoughts that I imposed onto myself from my negativity. And when I did play along with what was expected of me, I would be constantly living in a state of disappointment, anger, and sadness. So why am I even sharing this with you? Why is this so depressing, Amanda? I really wanted to paint you a picture, paint, get it, of how hard I had to fight to get where I am today. It took courage, nearly peeing my pants every time I had to take a step in the right direction. And for somebody that has grown up the way I have, it is very hard to make decisions for yourself because you feel like you're not adequate enough to make your own decisions. So that was a struggle in and of itself. And the way I was able to overcome that was finally convincing myself of something with this one little trick. You are worth it. These 4 words are so much more powerful to me than any reprimand, anxiety, sadness, negativity, or doubt. And it's much more powerful to me than any sort of praise that I could possibly get for any of my successes. If you always believe you don't deserve good things in the world, you will walk through life truly believing whatever bad thing happens to you is warranted. And what ends up happening is you give up the reins of your life, handing it over to someone else who has their own perceived idea of what makes life a good one. And it may not necessarily jive with what your ideals are. I had to break this cycle. And I had to build up self-esteem, telling myself that it was okay to feel what I felt and assess my life's purpose. And as I was breaking this cycle, I kind of did a little thought experiment. In years to come, when I am sitting on my deathbed, about to draw my last breath, and I have all my grandchildren around me, asking me about my life and how I lived it, as I recount my life, do I want to have a big chunk of it which was lived in regret, knowing that I could have done something so much bigger than myself, and yet I didn't have the courage or I didn't have the positivity to step forward and to do it. And it made me think, what can I share with my future grandchildren to help them avoid the deep, dark pits of despair within which we all can easily trap ourselves? Thinking about this question kind of shifted my mindset. When I thought about these questions, it made me realize that if I wanted to live a life without regret, I would first need to embrace who I was. And this took a lot of time, a lot of therapy, a lot of talking with friends and loved ones who were willing to listen. Now, if you identified yourself at all with my story, I always recommend you seek any sort of therapy, whether it be talking to a good friend, reading self-empowerment books, talking to a counselor, or even just drawing or painting. Ironically enough, creative outlets like drawing, painting, or even exercises like running or yoga have profound mental benefits and can help one express their inner feelings and thoughts without having to use words. It's a great way to process emotions. Sometimes when I've had a very bad experience or I went through a very negative bout of self-doubt or feelings of self-worth, I would just go ahead and pick up a brush and start to paint. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard for me after a very bad situation to talk to someone else about it because I just don't know how to express it without sounding like a jumbled crying mess. To paint or to express myself creatively is a great outlet to just kind of sort out in my brain what happened, what occurred, and how I feel about it. As you can see with this painting, this is a manifestation of one of those bouts. I think my feelings were definitely manifested here. It does look a little scary, and I think I did process some emotions from just doing this painting, especially playing with palette knives too, which was very cool and very helpful. But all in all, at the end of the day, past all the tactics, you truly need to believe that you are worth it, because I know you are worth it. You are so worthy of love, respect, and happiness, despite what others believe and say about you. I'll be the first to let you know, I've heard this advice so many times from people and I never really gave it much thought, but the more and more I experience a lot of this negativity, I have to go back to thinking, you are worth it. You are so worth it. If something out there that's ridding you of your happiness is making you feel less than worthy, those things are not good for you. They're toxic. That's a realization that I am currently working on and I'm currently getting stronger at. It takes a lot of time. It's not something that heals over a month. It takes years. But trust in the process that you will grow, you will get better. And if you look at your life's purpose, this is all working towards the grand design that is your life. I don't normally quote Bible verses, but I don't know why this one just kind of stuck out to me, and I heard it on Oprah, so I'm going to share it here. The Lord makes his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord bless you and keep you. I mean, despite the fact if you believe in any of this stuff or not, just the fact that there is a light shining on your face, a light of goodness and a light of serenity and peace and happiness. It shines on you, and no one can ever take that away from you. You are worth the time, you are worth the energy, you are worth it. Ah, man. Yeah, I do feel better talking about this to you, because you really need to believe you are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. You are feeling down right now. Just pause the video, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just say to yourself, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy, okay? So, anyways, to this day, it still feels weird for me to call myself an artist. Despite the fact that I have this channel, that I have done hundreds of hours of touching a brush to a canvas, I still feel like a poser sometimes. And I don't always feel like I'm worthy of the title of an artist. But that is the perception, not the reality. Perhaps the moral of the story here is, don't let imposter syndrome prevent you from doing the very thing that makes you happy. Whether that be drawing, singing, crafting, dancing, pole vaulting, whatever it is, go and live that life. And know you are beautiful. You are worthy of love, you are worthy of happiness, and you are worthy of success. All right, my queen bees, I hope you have a blessed, wonderful day, and I love you.